It seems like Vinnie Pasquantino is everybody's favorite breakout candidate heading into 2023. But all the people singing his praises are wrong about one thing. He's already broken out. You can't break out once you've already broken out. Over his first 300 plate appearances in the bigs, we saw all we needed to see. Plate discipline, elite. Quality of contact, elite. His approach to hitting, you guessed it, it's elite. And I get it. The obvious rebuttal to this is, hey man, look, where there's smoke, there isn't always fire in baseball. And I'll surrender that, but in this video, I'm going to argue why in Vinny's case, the hype is 100% warranted. I'm going to cover some of his most impressive statistical figures from last season, just in case some of you aren't familiar with them. And then I'm going to break down his swing to show you why Vinny is already one of the toughest ABs baseball has to offer. So when you look at Vinnie Pasquantino's 2022, there's a lot to like on the surface. He slashed 295, 383, and 450 in 298 plate appearances with a 137 weighted runs created plus. But the hype doesn't come from these numbers. The hype comes from what he did from August 1st to the end of the season with that monster slash line of 346, 424, 536, and that walk to strikeout ratio of 21-12 over his last 177 plate appearances. If I told you that these were the figures of a perennial all-star first baseman in the midst of a career year, you would absolutely believe me. But the obvious rebuttal to this is that the sample size is too small. But when you look under the hood and you break down his swing, it becomes really clear really quickly that this was not a fluke. Vinny's peripherals are elite, make no question about it. And the first thing that should pop out at you is the quality and the quantity of contact that he's producing. When Vinny swings, he makes contact 85.5% of the time, a good figure. And when he does make contact, the ball is coming off his bat at an exit velo of 91.2 miles per hour on average. The comparison to Freddie Freeman has been thrown around all over social media all offseason. And looking at these batted ball statistics, you can see the framework for that comparison really easily. The main difference between Vinny and Freddie, though, is the stark difference between Freddie Freeman's barrel rates and Vinny's barrel rates. Barrel rate is one of, if not the best stat we have of predicting future slugging percentage. What a barrel rate essentially translates to is the perfect combination of launch angle and exit velocity. Barrels typically yield a slugging percentage of over 2.000. The higher we see Vinny's barrel rate go, the closer he will inch to perennial silver slugger contender status, much like one Freddie Freeman. Vinny's best tool at the plate is arguably his plate discipline. Zone swing percentage minus outside the zone swing percentage is among the best ways we can grade a player's swing decisions. The best thing a batter can do at the plate is swing at hittable pitches and avoid the rest. So what Z-O percentage does is it takes swings in the zone subtracted by swings taken out of the zone to get a single value to measure plate discipline. And Vinny's marks rest right near that 40% mark, which is very impressive for a young hitter. Vinnie Pasquantino on paper is already a dangerous at-bat for any pitcher in the league. But what he showed on the field is even more impressive. And it ultimately is what gives me the conviction to sit here and tell you that he's already a top 5 first baseman in the game. Before we break down Vinny's swing, there's a very crucial piece of context that I need to fill you in on. As a big donkey power hitting first baseman coming up to the majors for the first time, the very first test you have to pass is, can you consistently get to the inside fastball? And there's a very logical reason for that. Major league pitching staffs look at these guys and they go, they're going to want to get long, they're going to want to get extended, and they're going to want to cause major damage that way. So their very first plan of attack becomes pound him inside with inside fastballs to keep him from getting extended. Easy enough. But when you watch Vinnie Pasquantino and you break down his swing, the first thing you notice is how short his swing is and how impressive his hands are for a big guy. So Lance Lynn on this pitch is going to throw a cutter on the inner half, which is very consistent with the plan of attack I just described. And he ultimately accomplishes his objective, but watch Vinny's hands pre-pitch. They move up, they move to the pitcher's left behind his head, and watch how he recognizes his pitch, gets his hands to his front hip so he can get the barrel to this baseball. Hands go up, they come back. Then they start to drop down straight to the ball, very short, gets his hands to his front hip, so he can get the barrel to that baseball, and Launchtown. So what's the natural progression for pitching staffs from this point forward? The same thing. They need to determine if you can do this consistently. So in this clip, this is the same series against the Chicago White Sox. Davis Martin and Yasmani Grandal are setting up inside. He wants this pitch inside. But again, watch Vinny's hands and how he stays with it himself and his hand path. Up, back, front hip, nuke on a pitch that's off the plate. So it's been established. Vinny is hunting these inside fastballs. That is what he's looking to do damage on. So what's next? Well, for a right-handed pitcher, it might be tempting to throw that breaking ball, start it inside or over the middle of the plate, and try to get him to swing over it. But here's the problem with that. When you're dealing with someone like Vinnie Pasquantino, who has excellent plate discipline, like we've already covered early in this video, he's more than capable of taking your best breaking ball. And if you miss in the zone, down and in, middle in, you're right in his wheelhouse. Take Jordan Romano, for example. He and Danny Jansen are trying to get the slider down below the zone. They're trying to get Vinny to swing over this slider. But this is what happens when you fail to do that. Jordan Romano leaves this slider middle in. And when Vinny recognizes this pitch and you leave it right there, he's barreling this up 9 times out of 10. And it's going to be major damage. So now as a right-handed pitcher, how are we going to attack this guy? You can't challenge him with heaters inside. He's going to rip it. You can't throw sliders consistently below the zone. He's either going to take it or he's going to crush the one that you miss, right? So what's next? Well, if we're going off of last year's numbers, Vinny's one soft spot is down and away, and the best way to attack him with that is with the soft stuff. So for a righty, what does that mean? It means a very healthy dose of changeups or splitters. And that's exactly what Gausman and Danny Jansen are aiming to do here. But watch how Vinny recognizes this pitch, he goes with it, and he uses the whole field. If Vinny can duplicate this process and consistently take his hits the other way, it'll ultimately lead to pitchers having to challenge him more inside. And that is when you'll see his barrel rate and his slugging percentage improve. And if that happens early on, don't be surprised if he's an all-star, and do not be surprised if he's contending with Vlad Jr., Jose Abreu, and everyone else in the American League for that Silver Slugger award. And with that, my Vinnie Pasquantino Top 5 First Baseman propaganda tour is over. For those of you who have been around for a little while, you'll know that this is a completely different style video than we've ever tried in the past. We're starting to see these player breakdowns as an opportunity to upload more frequently. So if you enjoyed the video, be sure to drop a like, get down in the comments and let us know what worked, what didn't work. Let us know anything. Anything will help. Sam and Kyle also have their breakout player breakdowns coming soon. So if you want to know when those drop, be sure to subscribe, turn on notifications so you know exactly when those drop. I've officially run out of things to say, so I hope you enjoyed the video. Like, subscribe, share, all that fun stuff, and I'll see you in the next video.